from Chicago and the Philippines. A comprehensive review of the week's special community events, featuring many exciting personalities, handled by the most professional Chicago Philippine Reports TV staff.
Good afternoon and welcome to Chicago Philippine Reports TV, still the #1 in all the Filipino shows in the Midwest. And I'm Joe Mauricio. Today we have all the top stories from Chicago and the Philippines. We also have our segment host, Veronica, interesting interviews with Melody Rabor Dizon, our Health Matters host, and Joe Mauricio, myself. And I would like to introduce to you Janet Jordy, our new host from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, introducing her Global Inspirations interviews. We also have happening within our own Filipino community here in Chicago. All these are coming up and more from our sponsors. Please stay with us.
They spent almost a week in an evacuation center at the Alcala Municipal Hall in Cagayan. But on Tuesday, residents of Pagbangkeruan village finally heard the words they've been longing to hear. It's time to go home. Flood in their community has finally subsided. On their way home, nerves were apparent, expecting massive damage to their homes.
Sakay kayo papunta? Uwi na kami, sir, kasi maglinis kami ng bahay. Hindi namin alam, sir, kung anong nangyari sa bahay namin, sir.
What greeted them instead were their neighbors who stayed behind to guard their properties even as floodwaters rose. Most of them are men, fathers, husbands, and brothers. When they reached their community, 82-year-old Natividad Cardenas had no words to describe what she saw. There was devastation everywhere. She quickly went home to her husband Rosario, who stayed behind in their house and spent days on the rooftop while waiting for floodwaters to recede.
Diyan kami natutulog sa taas ng bahay. Malamig na tatlong araw gabi. Malamig. Hindi kami nakatutulog tatlong gabi.
Natakot kayo tayo?
Opo.
Bakit po?
Wala kami pagkain. Walang tubig.
Natividad and Rosario have been married for over 60 years, and they say that this was the first time they were forced to separate. Their son, Danilo, who lives next door, says there were many sleepless nights in the evacuation center. He admits they were beside with worry for their father.
Halos hindi kami makatulog, sir.
Bakit po?
Kasi sir, dalawa lang sila na yun dyan sa taas. Kasi halos magdamag, maghapon na lumalaki, tumatas yung tubig. Hindi na kami makatulog. Kahit nandyan na kami sa mas-safety, yung mga magulang namin, naiisipan pa rin sila kasi matanda na yung tatay ko.
While they are thankful that all of them are alive, there's no time to celebrate. Instead, they have to face a new set of problems: damaged property, belongings, and the loss of livelihood.
Ganito sir, mahirap. Naiiyak kami sir kasi halos basa na yung namin, kagamitan namin. Ganito pang naiyak. Kaya halos kami dito sir, naghihinagpis. Kung saan kami kukuha ng pagkain namin. Buti lang sir, may dumating kapon na lutong-luto na yung mga pagkain namin.
Clearing operations continue in Alcala, especially in roads leading to inner villages, as debris block the delivery of relief packages. According to the local government, there are still many parts in town that remain inundated.
Maraming kabahayan ang nananatiling lubog sa baha, kung kaya't ang ginagawa natin at siyang emphasis na natin sa ngayon ay yung pagdadala sa kanila ng relief, lalong-lalo na ang drinking water.
Water is what destroyed many homes in Alcala. But the irony is, water is one of their most urgent needs now, for drinking and for cleanup. It's a long recovery for many residents like Rosario and Natividad, who at their age will have to start all over again.
Via Times, vital news, vibrant views for the Filipino Asian communities in Chicago. Via Times for your most interesting and exciting reading and your party coverages. Via Time has very interesting columnists. You name it, Via Times has it. Law, Filipino news, dentistry, immigration, humor, serious opinions, health, beauty, mysticism, Bata Corner, showbiz, and intelligently written editorials. Call Via Times at 773-866-0811.
Magandang hapon po sa inyo lahat. Welcome to Veronica's segment of the show. Today, I have a very good-looking young guy, a Filipino-American from California, LA. Of course, he is here on Cprtv to be
Hi, everyone.
talking about his recent accomplishment. And Mr. Arnold Martinez is the new champ of the jet ski sport. Okay, he will be describing to us about it. Okay, Arnold, congratulations on your new accomplishment, and maybe you can discuss and you can talk to our viewers about what that kind of sport that is.
Yeah, first and foremost, I wanted to let you know that it was the race at the World Championship at Naples, and it's called the Pro Watercross World Championship, and I joined the 200 plus super course. So I won that. We were number one. So I represented the Jet Sports Association of the Philippines for all my friends there in Manila. And of course for all my friends and family. So I'm very, very grateful that I was supported by, like the shirt I'm wearing right now, got supported by Liqui Moly from Germany, my sponsors, Cabrera Motorsports. Also, we were supported by Broward Motorsports, big support there. Hamilton, CEC, Exotic Signs, and I've been preparing for this for about 1 year already, with the best tuners around the world and some of the best riders. So I'm very, very happy that I was able to take on the podium this time, which I've always wanted to take. No matter what it takes, I wanted to take that podium, and we got the one trophy right there. One.
Arnold, I am not so familiar, and I guess some of our viewers are not that familiar with this kind of sport that you're talking about. Can you please explain it to us? What do you do with that kind of sport?
Yes, we should actually do an interview again someday when I'm at the beach practicing, so they get a clear idea of what it's like, and I can hold a cell phone while we're going around the buoy. So what we do is, if you imagine a Formula One racetrack, but we are racing jet skis on the water, and they're actually called PWC, acronym for personal watercraft. We go around the buoys, and it's a bit more difficult than other racing because with roads you can predict and see where you're going. As in water sports, it's one of the most dangerous ones also, because you could be behind someone and just seeing splash, and if you're racing cars, you're actually behind the car, you don't see splash, you still see lights. So you go around the buoys, and each race on the national races have different courses that you need to memorize. And there's a lot more to it than that. You have to have a reliable ski. You've got to be physically very fit for it. You have to have the right equipment for it. So, I've been training for this for about 1.5 years. I would say a year, working out, getting the right diet, getting the right advice from the right people. And again, of course, to the support of our friends in the Philippines, cheering me on through the national races. I'm very grateful. They were all there. They're awesome.
You mean to say there is also a race like that being held in the Philippines?
Oh yes, I raced it back then from 1997 and 2001. And you know, we have really nice beaches in the Philippines. One of the best places to ride jet skis I love is the Philippines. That's where it all started. I started doing this in 1995 when a friend of mine who races this professionally influenced me to get into the sport, and I happened to pick it up again a couple of years ago.
You 1995. Yeah, that was the year that you were just born, right?
No, I'm 55. I'm 55 years old, and I'm happy to say I am 55 and still fit.
Oh, you look
So
very young. Yeah,
thank you,
very
thank
young.
you,
Is that
thank you, Tita.
is that kind of sport something that's recognized in the Olympics games?
No, jet ski is not recognized in the Olympic Games. Although when I was back in the Philippines, we do join the Philippine Olympic Committee on their meetings, but we're not an Olympic sport. It's a motor sport, so there's an engine on it, and you know you can have racecrafts that go from some of them go 60 miles, some of them can go 90 miles per hour, and on drag racing it can go up to 135 miles per hour. Is the world record this year on drag racing. I didn't get the 135.5 miles. That's a different class category of racing, but I did
You won,
the super courses where I excelled.
you won the first place, right? You
Yes, I did. I did on the super course category, the super course 200 at the pro watercross at Naples.
This was held in Naples, Florida.
Correct. And
Naples,
then I did
Florida.
third. Yeah, and I did third overall on the super stock in Lake Havasu World Finals on the pro am super stock. So that was quite an I mean, for me, I've always dreamt of doing something like this. Um, so I'm definitely challenged and can't wait till next season again.
Actually, to tell you the truth, I don't know of any Filipino who is into this kind of sports. You're the only one that
Oh,
I.
there's a lot. We have we have our national champion back in the Philippines. This sport started there in the early 90s, and I mean I can mention, if I may mention, some of my friends in the Philippines. Paul Del Rosario is currently number one on the stand-up class. We also have BJ Ang, if I can use that accent, BJ Ang, who's very good also, that I used to race with when he was a kid. And our CEO or president of our association is Harley David. It's quite a big sport in the Philippines. They consider it a prestigious sport there as well. So you know, we need all the help we can to get more audience to watch jet ski racing. Back in the 90s, you would have 30,000 people on the grandstand to watch it when Budweiser used to sponsor it in the pro series back then.
What,
So
what
uh,
did you say? Where did people watch it from? Grandstand? From the grandstand?
yeah, well, they would have about 30,000 people as audience back then.
Really?
This race that I raced in Naples was broadcasted also, if I may say, the other network, who's also a good network like yours, CBS Sports also featured it in their network as well.
Very
The full,
interesting.
some of the races.
I must admit that I really don't know much about that sport. I should know more now that you are the champ. And so you're going to be representing the Philippines or the United States in your competition.
I'll I'll represent both. And I'm very proud to represent the Philippines in our association there as well, which I did. So I'm promoting our association there here as well, and I'm very good friends with all of our writers there. They were very supportive and cheering me on online and watching it while it was streaming live during the races. So I'm very grateful to everyone back in our country that cheered me on, and of course to my family and to you, Tita.
Okay. Around how many supporters do you have? No?
Oh gosh, the sponsors that I mentioned earlier, I haven't done this in 2 decades, so I just did this spontaneously, because there wasn't much to do during the pandemic, and it's I would say it's sometimes you get through crisis and you just find other ways to do other things to um, to get busy. And this has always been something very challenging for me that I wanted to excel in, and I have yet still to excel my ultimate goal, when everyone shows up, because there were other countries that weren't able to show up at the races. In Lake Havasu, we had Kuwait show up, Japan show up, the UK show up, but the Philippines weren't able to show up. So I was very happy to again represent us.
And Arnold, you plan on keep on doing this until for about how many years from now?
I don't want to put a deadline on something I am passionate and I love doing, kind of like my work and my job. As long as I have supporters and people cheering me on that motivate me, I'm happy to do it. I enjoy doing it. It challenges me and my skills. And if someone else can be there and take on the podium, why can't I do it, or any other country do it? So I have yet to take it more to a different level and win more championships in different categories is definitely the goal. That's why you race. You want to be first. Second, you still lose being second.
Are you able to go to other countries for competition?
There's one in Thailand, but I don't know, if they're allowing people to get in. Thailand has one on March. It was supposed to happen this November, so our season is now over. The next race we will have is called the Mark Han 300 here in, somewhere near here in California, in Lake Havasu, California. It's a 4-hour endurance race. So, we're obviously welcoming sponsors. We're going to start building a ski. My team's going to start to build the ski for that race. Hopefully it makes it on time. So again, I can't say. All I could wish for is hopefully I could ride the best I can to my ability, and I'm physically healthy. And then the ski, or the jet ski that we use, is also physically healthy and reliable and doesn't bog down. That's all part of racing. So
Very good. Before we
Yep.
sign off, you want to mention some of your sponsors, right? You want to?
Yes, I'd like to mention it
You?
again, if I may. They would definitely appreciate that. So first and foremost, I wanted to thank Liqui Moly, because they supported me in the last race. That was a last minute thing. Liqui Moly Oils from Germany. Cabrera Motorsports have put plenty of hours to tune and make the ski that I have the fastest one that could be possibly made for that class. Broward Motorsports, where the jet ski came from, in Florida. They have 5 locations there. Hamilton, who helped me through the bottom hull of the ski, who did this overnight. Magical. He did one sleepless night to get that going. CEC of Beverly Hills, that makes rims, so he helped me maintain my vehicle at no charge to travel all over. And lastly, Exotic Sign, that made my ski, as you've seen in the photo. Not only makes it look faster, but psychologically, it's an awesome piece of art. Why that jet ski looks so phenomenal is Paul, who made that look good. The wrap, Exotic Signs in Florida as well.
There is
And last, before I forget, Jet Sports Association of the Philippines. I can't forget that. They're definitely, they've been there for me since the '90s. So, and if anyone I forgot to mention, there's a long list out there
That's a
of
lot.
names, friends that supported. It's a lot of lists. It's a lot of work. I have one of the Yalongs family, drove to help support me in the pits on the races. And a friend of mine, Benz, who helped me out as well, who I consider like a nephew, helped out. There's a lot of people involved in it. It's not just a one man team. A lot of people may think that, yeah, I can just get in a ski race and get it all done and I'll win it because I can go fast in straight lines. It's a lot of workouts, a lot of cardio, a lot of technique involved to be really good at the sport.
Great, terrific. Congratulations once again, Arnold.
Thank you, Tita. Thank you,
And
Tita.
I also want to tell you that Arnold is featured in the Via Times November issue. You won, not really won. You really deserve it anyway. A half-page picture in the Via Times, and we'll say.
Oh, thank you.
And it was very nice. Thank you so much for gracing our show today, Arnold. And good luck for more winning competitions. Bye.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Objective Viewers portion of the show. And I'm John Mauricio. This afternoon, I have one beautiful pastor closer to God. And we're going to talk about something that you guys want to hear, and that is peace. And my my interview today is no other than Nancy Abiera, a beautiful Nancy Abiera. Hi, Nancy. How are you?
Hello, Mr. Mauricio, my friend.
And we're going to talk something very deep. And this is especially now, what's going on now in our society is we need this. And we're going to talk about peace. What is peace?
Peace. Well, simply, most people understand peace as the absence of, trials or problems. But I'm going to go deeper. It's not really just the absence of it, but rather it's the presence of the peace giver. It is the gift, from the peace giver. So when you have the peace giver, you have the gift of peace.
Well, how do you know whether you're receiving it or not?
Say that again.
How do you know you're receiving peace within you?
Well, first of all, you need to ask. It's like a communication. When you ask for something, you know when you get it, right?
Yeah.
There's a sense of something inside of you that you cannot explain.
And what's going on in our society now is in demand for this kind of word, peace.
Yes.
Why is it so on demand?
Well, it's because people are so bombarded with so many things in the media that are so negative and destructive. And so what happens is we're not even giving ourselves opportunity to focus on what is actually important and urgent. We focus on the nonsense things like the fake news because we're bombarded with it. The media, even the cell phone, the Facebook, social media. And then we have the social distancing. So we're kind of limited in our interaction with people, and we are social beings. And not only that, if we encounter some people, this anxiety or fear, it's like a secondhand smoke. We absorb it and we don't even realize it. Does that make sense to you?
So a little bit of a little too heavy to understand. And to make it simple, now in these days of chaos, crisis, how one can experience or even maintain the sense of peace?
Okay. First of all, we are so attention deficit people nowadays. We ha- we don't even know how to focus. It's like whatever pulls us, we just go. In other words, just like what I said a while ago, we're absorbed by the situation rather than observing it and then making a mindful choice to make a decision out of it. In other words, we get controlled by it rather than us having a self-control and being mindful of looking at and focusing on the present, which is the gift. That's why it's called present. Not too many people are accustomed to doing that. They're either, living in the past and projecting that in their future, and they don't really maintain that now moment.
Yeah, but on the other side, the especially in this political situation, the
Yes. Mhm.
opposite of peace is chaos
Chaos. Correct. Or crisis.
or or crisis.
Mhm.
And somehow, some people are trying to introduce this thing to people like you.
Mhm.
You you are being influenced with this kind of strong chaotic events that's
Mhm.
happening in our neighborhood, especially the riots, the burning, the killing. You know, are they winning or are they getting?
It depends on where you're focused on. In other words, if you're focused on your fear and anxiety, you make room for that. Whereas if you focus more on the power within you, then that's a different story. It's either we choose to be pitiful or powerful. It's a mindful choice.
Yeah, but what we have to discipline ourselves to do that,
Yes, correct, correct.
and sometimes this the negative thing around us in our environment is so overwhelming.
It is.
Sometimes we forget who
Mhm.
is, and sometimes these people are calling for abolition of religion almost.
Mhm.
And to me, religion and peace is pretty much connected. And once you sever that relationship, somehow these people are I think they're kind of like winning, overwhelming the peaceful people.
Okay, let me address what you had mentioned about religion. I'm not even kind of practicing on that. I'm more on the relationship. What I mean by that is, for example, if I'm married to my husband, that is my religion. I do this for him, and I don't do this for him. And then, but if my relationship with him is not good, my marriage is doesn't mean anything. Does that make sense? So it's all
Yeah,
about
yeah,
relationship.
yeah. So it's all relationship, and you're maybe the trust.
Yes, that's another thing
I think
too.
I think trust is playing an important role in the relationship.
Correct.
Trusting your husband, trusting the wife,
Uh-huh.
like that. And sometimes we are detouring from the word trust
True, true.
because the influence of the negative faction is really very, very strong. They ruin you. They brainwash you. The kids are brainwashed during at the young years, and
Mm-hmm.
when they grow up, they tend to be against all the principles that we learned is that was correct and that was peaceful. To me, it's very deep,
It
deeper.
is.
Yeah, better than what we can say. Hey, what is peace? What is this? What can you do? You know, there's the word there that we should associate it with the word peace, and that's trust,
Correct.
and something else. And the relationship to maintain a strong relationship, we got to have you know a two-way street.
Trust, honor, and I would say respect.
respect.
when you lose that, then that's when the relationship starts dwindling down.
Well, I cannot lose my respect for my hero because he will beat the heck out of me, man.
But your basis and motivation for that is because you love her. You know, you're doing that because of love, not out of fear, but it's that love that conquers fear. There's a difference between the two.
Glad you explained it that way, but you know, this guy can punch me in the face.
You can run.
I could run. But anyway, you know, there's a lot of a lot of good words. We have a lot of adjectives to really to achieve peace. You know, a lot of words that we can use to achieve. Our goal is peace, but on the way to peace, the journey has to be with something else. Trust,
Yes.
obedience, you know, fear maybe.
Uh-huh. Well, if I may just interject something, we have to differentiate. You know, there's like because remember, we are a three-part being. We have the body, we have the soul, and inside of that is the spirit. But if you really look at it, you know, the inner peace that we're talking about here is the peace in the spirit. I could address also peace for your body as well as your soul, but the most important thing is the core element of the inner peace, where it is resting in the spirit, which is an invisible thing, but it will manifest in the natural. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, but what I'm looking at is the people that contradict peace.
Mm-hmm.
These people are so strongly not even looking at what is shame, shameful deeds that they are doing. They don't do that. They just keep doing bad things, and they're creating chaos, and peace is gone.
Mm-hmm.
And the burning, the killing, you know, without respect for one another.
Yes.
A human being, we should be all respecting any level of individual, regardless of what, even the color of the skin. And we should do that. And we can achieve that by believing in God.
Correct. That's why I said, you know, the spirit is the core of it, and God is a spirit. Once we're wired with him or connected with him, nobody can steal that from us. Does that make sense? So our relationship with God is for first and foremost, and then that helps us to know who we are, and so we could relate to others in a loving, trusting, and peaceful way. But without God, the giver of peace, I don't know how people can handle it.
But the individual person created by God, we have our own free will.
Yes, correct.
Somehow this free will is not directed to peace, but directed to something else.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It's they're choosing the one that contradict peace, and that's why we are at this political situation now, a chaos.
Well, I believe it's because people are so either they are influenced by their thinking, and in the thinking, there's always an opportunity for lies or deception based on their experience. Or we are influenced by our feelings, you know, what wounded us or hurt us. And when that is actually operating, it's so easy to be distracted.
Okay, well said. I'd like to talk to you some more about peace, but again, you know, I really enjoy, and I hope our TV viewers get something out of this interview, because I really enjoy it. I love peace, and I'm a very peace-loving person. Ako po si John Mauricio, and thank you very much for sharing your Sunday with us. And I hope you talk to Pastor Nancy Abiera, and mabuhay po kayong lahat.
more fun in the Philippines.
This is Janet Jordy at Global Inspiration, where you need to be seen, need to be heard, and be an inspiration to the world. Our guest this week cringes when I ask her to describe herself based on her resume, and she wants and she prefers to be introduced as a woman, a lawyer, and a mother of four because she firmly believes that what she has done in the past, the present, and the future are based on this description. She is Angela Librado, Trinidad. She is the Philippine Labor Attache to United States and Caribbean Islands. As a woman, she advocates for women's rights and women empowerment. She has been a member of Davao City Council for 9 years under the leadership of the then mayor and now President Duterte. She authored legislations that became laws, and these legislation are focused on gender inequalities and also for violence against women and girl children and women's health and reproductive clinic. She was also a barangay captain. As a lawyer, she handled primarily cases of women physically abused, psychologically, and economically. In 2010, she co-founded Women in Law, a firm focused on legally advocating for rights of women and girl children. As a labor attaché, she affirms being all this, a woman, a lawyer, and a mother of four, carry the voice of OFW or overseas Filipino workers. Ladies and gentlemen, let's all welcome Attorney Angela Librado, Trinidad. Good afternoon, Attorney Angela Librado. Global Inspiration is so honored to have you today as our guest as the Philippine Labor Attaché. But today, we will not be talking about your position. We will be talking with you as a woman, as a lawyer, and as a mother of four. And thank you very much for having you as our guest today. When I moved to America, it took 2 years. You can always find me, even though I was working, homesick. And during my time that I moved to America, we don't have Facebook. We have Yahoo. And we don't have this Zoom. So you call your mom and it's not enough. You want to go home every day because you miss so much the food and the culture. Coming from a developing country, the Philippines, to not the one, but is the most powerful country in the world. So Attorney Trinidad, we know that you are now the Philippine Labor Attaché. Can you share with us what is the responsibility or the duties to be a Philippine Labor Attaché?
Thank you, Janet. It is the position itself actually calls for the labor attaché taking care of all the needs of the overseas workers, the migrant workers. But basically, the office has been put up in at least 36 areas all over the world, primarily to make sure that if our workers decide to go abroad, their rights are protected through the contracts of employment. We make sure that their contracts of employment just comply with the minimum requirements of both our laws, the Philippine laws, and the laws of the host country. So that's the main function that the Philippine Labor Attaché has, making sure that when they go out, they can work confidently, hopefully, and work comfortably when they are abroad.
So it's a position with a lot of tasks to do. And I understand you have your 4 kids, you have a husband, and you have your parents and your sisters. Sometimes they visit you because I see you on Facebook. I saw the photos. So how do you, for me, it's a stressful job. Not stressful in a sense that you lose your mind, but how do you manage your time? Considering you're a mother, you're a daughter, So how do you do that?
Janet, at this point, I have to really give due course and due recognition to my partner, my husband.
That's good.
Who is not only a partner, but who understands what a woman is and what a woman is in her role in the world. That she does not only have to take care of kids, she has to be in all places where policy making and decision making should be. So I think that's one thing that I have. I have a very supportive and a husband, and one who truly understands what the role of a woman is, and she's not confined to the four corners of her house. Second, as I mentioned, my kids have been living independently. Have been very independent since we were in the Philippines. So they have been managing on their own.
Okay.
Taking care of their needs, and even they know how to cook, and they know how to clean. No? So that's it. And the job that I do, I think basically because I love doing it.
Okay.
I think
That's good.
that's the key. That's the key point there, that you have to know that your job is your life, and there is nothing more that you would want to do in your life but do this. And that's serving others, and not only serving others but working with them as well.
So I understand that your kids, I salute, by the way, I salute your husband for being supportive of us. And even my friends are asking me, how do you do all these jobs and all these priorities? How do you do that? Because if you don't have, if they think that women, the wives are strong, I consider our husband to be stronger, because they were able to balance, our strength. You mentioned before that your kids miss the Philippines a lot. They miss their friends, they miss their family. So if I ask you, give me 2 things that you miss most in the Philippines, what would that be?
I miss my family, my siblings more particularly, because I can really depend on them any time of the day. I can ask them to watch my kids whenever I would want to watch a movie. And second, of course, the food. I would try to replicate them here in the US, but you could just imagine, how difficult it is to be here when you see that the garlic that you're using in America are very large.
Yeah.
And the onions are very large.
Exactly. Exactly.
And they don't taste the same.
Exactly.
So the food, what we call in Davao City sinugba, the most basic food that we cook in the Philippines, they are really things that I would miss the most.
We would like to welcome all of you to Baladna Jewelry. We have a very big selection of 21 karat gold jewelry imported from the Middle East, from Dubai, Saudi, and Bahrain. And we have a very big selection of diamond. We offer free financing for 6 months, and we have a layaway system which you can leave your stuff for 3 months. We repair gold and we buy old gold. Welcome to Baladna Jewelry.
Salamat po.
Good afternoon. This is Bridget Carino Quetter bringing you this week's local news from our community. The 8th annual Illumination Tree Lights at the Morton Arboretum kicks off the holiday season November 20th as a reimagined driving experience with new displays, drive-up concessions, and a customized music soundtrack, all enjoyed from the safety and comfort of one's vehicle. Through January 3rd, 2021, guests will drive a roughly 2-mile route to view 11 light displays, including 6 new features and 5 returning favorites. Specially curated music will be available on a dedicated radio station. In prior years, the exhibition was a 1-mile walking path. Decisions about how to ensure staff and guest safety during Illumination had to be made earlier this year when the status of the pandemic was unknown for the winter, said Preston Bautista, PhD, Vice President of Learning and Engagement. Transforming it into a driving experience also gave us the opportunity to create an innovative, new, and expanded exhibition that can't be seen anywhere else. Attorney General Kwame Raoul, along with 33 states and the District of Columbia, today announced a $113 million settlement with Apple Inc. regarding Apple's 2016 decision to slow consumers' iPhone speeds in order to address unexpected shutdowns in some iPhones. Based on the multi-state investigation, Raul and the coalition alleged that Apple discovered battery issues that were leading to unexpected shutdowns in iPhones. Rather than disclosing the problems or providing replacement batteries, Apple concealed the issue from consumers. In an effort to stop the unexpected shutdowns without disclosing the problem, Apple instead offered a software update in December 2016 that reduced iPhone's performance. Cook County and the University of Chicago Office of Civic Engagement are excited to announce an additional 7 weeks of open lectures for residents, curated educational content for the public during the COVID-19 pandemic. We were pleased to see so much interest and engagement with our first 7 weeks of open lectures for residents, and I am excited that we're able to extend this partnership for another round, said Cook County Board President Tony Preckwinkle, an alum of the University of Chicago. I know that I've certainly enjoyed listening to the lectures, and I'm glad that we can provide this unique opportunity for residents during this difficult time. The free, curated educational content will be organized around 7 themes: COVID-19 and health, economics, elections, history, philosophy, environment, and racial bias. As snow and ice season fast approaches, the Illinois Department of Transportation and Illinois State Police are reminding the driving public that it's time for winter weather get it together. Because of the continuing threat of COVID-19, planning and preparation, as well as patience and understanding, will be needed more than ever from drivers this winter. Our snow and ice response teams have prepared throughout the year to make this upcoming winter driving season as safe as possible. Whenever you see them doing their jobs, please slow down and give them room to work, said Acting Illinois Transportation Secretary Omer Osman. This year, we need the public to always be planning ahead and truly asking themselves before heading out if snow and ice are in the forecast. Is this trip really necessary? The Alzheimer's Association Illinois chapter appreciates the proactive steps being taken by Governor Pritzker and the state of Illinois to protect the health and safety of all Illinoisans, especially those most vulnerable. The pandemic has hit all Illinoisans hard and poses extra challenges for those living with dementia, their families, and their caregivers. Since the beginning of the U.S. outbreak, long-term care residents, their family members, and staff have been in crisis. Residents are suffering from social isolation and higher death rates. The pandemic is also jeopardizing access to hospital beds and putting in-home and facility workers at risk, all of which puts people living with dementia at a greater risk. These additional mitigations announced today are a necessary step in slowing the spread so we can protect those living with dementia and their caregivers. That's all for today. Thank you for watching our news this week. This is Bridget. See you next time.
Okay, ready guys? Introducing our new Energy Star certified washer and dryer. Thanks to rebates from ComEd.
Yay! We love rebates! Ay, Daniel, we are famous.
Get used to it. When you use less water and electricity, people notice.
I can get used to that.
So can I.
Take it easy.
Get rebates from ComEd on select Energy Star certified appliances and find even more savings with the ComEd Energy Efficiency Program. ComEd, powering lives.
Hi, my name is Jared Cardizon. I'm a shift lead at Starbucks. Things that have been challenging during this pandemic has been quite literally indoor seating. When we have people come inside, one of our biggest struggles is maintaining that social distancing, making sure people wear masks. I have people that come in and they refuse to wear masks, which is quite troublesome. Another thing too is keeping our workplace safe as well. So what we do is we split our staff into 2 pods, into 2 sets, one in the morning, one for the night. And that causes also some kind of problems within. But more so, things that we do to keep ourselves safe, we wear masks all the time. Every half an hour, we wash our hands, our whole team on the floor. On top of that as well, every half hour, we also wipe with a special disinfectant that Starbucks makes for the inside. so to keep everyone safe. On top of that as well, we instead of actually handing out the drinks by hand, what we do is we put it in a mug and they give it, so we're not ever actually touching the customer, which is good. And then before every shift, we always do a temperature check. So that goes and it's pointed at the head, tells you the temperature. Afterwards, we also do a questionnaire that everyone, including myself, answers, but I verify to see if you're able to work or not. And then lastly, if in the ever unfortunate case that you have come into contact or have tested positive, you are required to self-isolate for at least 10 days. And that can be a problem, especially if someone in the position such like myself or higher does end up getting in contact. That means in some cases, in some extreme cases, we did have to shut down the store early, which is never fun.
Wow. That is, thank you so much, Jericho, for that information. But you had mentioned earlier, kind of strike a conversation here about when customers do not wear a mask. Do you serve them? Can you serve them? How do you deal with that?
So we are always open to offer a mask. So when someone comes in, we say, and we notice they don't have a mask, we say, would you like a mask today? And if they refuse, we reserve the right to not serve them.
Oh, okay.
What we can do at the most is we can have them wait outside. We can have them wait outside and we'll bring the drink out to them if they refuse to wear a mask. But if it ever comes to such a degree, I can ask them to formally leave the Starbucks and we do not have to serve them. Yes.
Wow, that's good. And also you mentioned about your staff, say if they get in contact with somebody who's positive COVID, or just the likelihood that the exposure is really high and great. Do you, does Starbucks or your company, and I guess I'm asking other companies maybe to rethink, is it a paid leave, sick time, or?
For Starbucks specifically, we are fortunate enough to actually have instances where you have instances where if this happens, you have to self-isolate, that you will get paid for your time and you don't have to use your sick hours or your vacation hours. However, once you reach a certain threshold of isolations, they'll stop paying you and you'll have to use like your vacation time or sick time for that.
I see. Those are very good information. So have you seen an increased number of maybe drive-ups then?
Yes. Almost like 80% of all our business is through the drive-thru, especially now that we're on a busy street. All our business happens almost all through the drive-thru because A, people don't want to get out of their cars because it's easier, and B, some people oftentimes, and it's very common that it's not that they choose not to wear one, but they forget it. So, and they just decide, I'll just go through the drive-thru. Mm-hmm. And that way it's quicker and it's also very much in and out.
That's great.
Because you can't sit inside anyway.
So holiday-wise, I know there's going to be a lot of traffic coming in and coming out, and plus there's a mandate order. So when if there's a mandate order, I guess you guys have to comply, right?
It depends. Mm-hmm. So Starbucks during hard lockdown back in March.
Yes.
In March, Starbucks actually stayed open because they were considered an essential business. Now, for us on a ground level, we hear from our manager or district manager if we are allowed to stay open. If we are not, then we will shut down. However, because we have the drive-thru, it is most probable that we're going to stay open if something were to happen, like a hard lockdown once again.
I guess some people live off of coffee and
yes, they do.
That's it. Oh my gosh. Well, Jericho, this has been very pleasant and very, very informative. I really thank you for your time. And any last few words for our televiewers?
Stay safe, wear a mask, wash your hands. If you hear about some kind of get-together, stay home. I mean, the longer that this will, the more that you do will make this longer. Mm-hmm. And obviously we want to keep everyone safe because come time, I can't wait for all this to pass.
That's right. Thank you so much, Jericho.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the most exciting portion of the show, and that's wishing everybody, especially this kind of year, Thanksgiving Day, we would like to wish everybody a very happy birthday this week. Start off with Nanay Ading Bakatan, who's already in heaven. Dr. Hector Marino is also in heaven, and going down to where the planet Earth is, we are celebrating the birthday of Salvi Marino, Nilda Olayer, Jeladin Lopez, and Lourdes Livas. Hi Lourdes, happy birthday, and wishing everybody a very, very exciting Thanksgiving, even though we are limited to our celebration. But again, you know, it's not the celebration outside, it's not the eating outside, it's us thanking God for all the blessings we received this year. Again, this is Joe Mauricio. Marami pong salamat and wishing everybody happy Thanksgiving and happy birthday. Mabuhay!